The zoning of elective offices to be contested at the National Convention of the People's Democratic Party later this month has left many of the members of the party dissatisfied. Party stalwarts said to be displeased with the zoning arrangement include former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Senate President Bukola Saraki. According to news reports, the aggrieved members have threatened to protest against the zoning formula at the meeting of the party's National Executive Committee slated for Thursday, October 7, this week. Based on the arrangement, aspirants of Southern extraction and the suspended national chairman, Uche Secondus, have been excluded from the chairmanship race as the slot appears to have been zoned to the north. This will pave the way for a presidential candidate of Southern extraction to emerge and contest in the 2023 general election and shut the door against the likes of Atiku and Saraki, who are both Northerners. To discuss all of this and the unending battle for supremacy and control of the People's Democratic Party, we're now being joined from Kaduna by Umar Sani, a member of the People's Democratic Party and former media aide to former Vice President Namadi Sambo. Welcome to the show. Umar Sani and the Cat. Good to have you on the morning show.
Dr. Abati, my very good friend.
Good morning.
Okay. And I greet other members of the show.
Yes, Tondo and Rufai. Okay, very quickly, let's get into it. What's the state of play in the People's Democratic Party at the moment? There are persons who believe that if the People's Democratic Party zones the presidency to the north, it will not get the support of southern stakeholders. And then it looks like there is a lot of infighting within the party. Persons who think to promote their own ambition and interests, that it is better that the presidency is zoned to one part of the country or the other so that they can fulfill their own ambitions. How bad is this toing and froing for the party?
Well, having looked at the whole issue, my last appearance at Arise Television, I have been very categorical and very specific that all the troubles that were ongoing at the People's Democratic Party were as a result of a clash between ambition and interest. And I think I have been vindicated by the current events that are happening within the party. The general idea was to put the national chairman of the party, Uche Secondus, aside and then take major decisions that will affect the party in his absence and then shut him up because perhaps his line of thinking and the way he wants to take the party is not in tandem with some of the stakeholders. So the general idea was to use the courts as an instrument to secure, an injunction, a perpetual injunction, restraining him from parading himself as the national chairman of the party, and then set up committees, take over the zoning committees, take over the convention committee, and ensure that the convention holds on the 30th and 31st of December of October, and then zone the positions of the party as they deem fit. However, the matter is still not yet over until it is over. Because first, even those who purported to have suspended the national chairman of the party, Prince Uche Secondus, gave two reasons. One, they said he was not a financial member of the party. And secondly, they argue that Uche Secondus is working against the interests of the South. These were their reasons. And I don't know how they were able to allude to the fact that he was working against the interests of the South. Perhaps because he continues to maintain that he's the national chairman, that amounts to negating the interests of the South. Or how could anybody be a national chairman of a party without naturally being a financial member? Those are the ingredients that must be screened before he will even be allowed to contest for that position. So Those reasons were merely given to give a dog a bad name in order to hang it. However, the battle has now shifted to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal, is saddled with a responsibility to dispense justice the way it should be. Now, the contentious issues in the Court of Appeal is predicated on one, that Uche Secondus is seeking the Court of Appeal to declare that he is and continues to be the national chairman of the party until his tenure expires on the 10th of December, year of the Lord 2021, and that he should continue to preside over the affairs of the party as the national chairman of the party, and that all decisions that were taken in his absence, because he was unjustifiably kept aside, should be set aside, and that he should be allowed and given the responsibility to take these decisions as the national chairman of the party, as one who was given a mandate to serve for a period of 4 years. I think these are the issues before the Court of Appeal. And if these issues are determined, then I think the whole equation will change. All these zoning arrangements and so forth will change, because Uche Secondus, if he takes charge after the appeal court judgment, and if it is favorable, the fact still remains that he will do things, in the proper manner in which he thinks these things should be done. So zoning these positions, like I said, will conflict with certain interests, and so Uche Secondus was kept aside so that those things will be achieved. And I think they are coming out, and they are coming to the open, and I think justice, to me, will prevail.
And but before that happens, or while we're waiting to see whether or not that happens, what are your thoughts on the Ugwayi Committee and the agreement that they've come up with so far? It hasn't been ratified yet. It will be, or perhaps might be, on October 7th. But what are your thoughts on that zoning committee's decision to zone the chairmanship to the north, and that all the positions occupied by the north in the NWC should now be occupied by the south, and vice versa?
I think that decision completely negates the very principle of our party. A person, the constitution of a party, a person can seek for election and can seek for re-election in the party. So if you zone a position that I have been occupying to another zone, it means that I'm technically disqualified from contesting for that position, except, of course, if I will go for another position. And perhaps the other position I'm going for, that has been zoned to my place, may be lower than the position I'm occupying. So automatically I'm edged out of the contest. And I think that is unfair, because the party also clearly states that you have the right to contest and recontest. So, and you can only contest twice. Not contest twice. You can only hold position, a particular position, twice. So if you are a national chairman, you can only serve for 8 years and no more. That's what the party constitution says. So you cannot, there is no fiat that can be brought upon to say, okay, you can no longer contest. So, and more so, our party has always stated that even if they zone a position to a particular place, any other person can also come out and contest. But that is not really the case on ground. Right from the beginning, our first national chairman was Chief Dr. Solomon La. He was from the north, and while the presidency was zoned to the south. The second chairman, when Solomon La left, was Prince Audu Ogbe. Audu Ogbe was also removed and replaced with Amadou Ali. And so the context upon which our party operates is that wherever the president comes from, the national chairman comes from a different and opposite direction. So if the president is if the party chairman is from the north, the tendency is that the president will come from the south. And even forget about the arguments being canvassed here and there that no, the presidency will be thrown open. No, when the chips are down and when the national chairman emerges from the north, then the arguments will now come very strong that the presidency has to go to the south. So chapter 1 of our constitution, section 3, subsection C, is very clear that rotation of these positions is eminent in our party. So I think they are clever ways of zoning it to the south. However, the Ugwanyi Committee's report is not in itself final. It is, as it is now, it is a recommendation. It is when the National Executive Committee of the party meets and decides, that is when that report will now be adopted. However, even where such a report is adopted, and then there is another decision of the Court of Appeal, then all those things will be set aside, and another set of committees will be set up, and then towards another national convention. So I think my thoughts is that there is unfairness.
Okay, so for the PDP, is it about understanding the pains? Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good. Is it about understanding?
I can hear you.
Thank you, sir. Is it about understanding the pains of the people or the role money politics will have to play? Because now there's a fight for the soul of your party. And also the big guys with the big cash are out to spend money across the southern flank of your party and across the northern flank. Who will emerge will be based on who outspends each other. Where does competence come to play in all of this?
Although I agree with you that money politics play a very vital role in political parties, especially in the delegate system which the PDP normally operates. However, it is not entirely about money. Within the party, there are blocks. If you remember, at your Arise TV interview with former President IBB, Brian Badamasi Babangida, he mentioned something about them. One, that he is a member of the military bloc of the PDP. And then he also mentioned that they have also their thinking about who becomes the president, and that there were 8 categories of the type of people they want. So if you take a holistic review of what the former president has said, it means that there is also a bloc that has a particular an interest. So it's a fusion of interest. And at the end of the day, those interests will now come and then work towards ensuring that the delegates take a certain position in the party. And this is what happened in Port Harcourt. In Port Harcourt, before the convention, the general view is that the current governor of Sokoto State, Tambuwal, was going to take the day at the convention. However, at the venue of the convention, we had rumors, going around that General Gusau was around and that he was conveying a message which was sent to him by a certain bloc that the North is interested in so person to be voted. And I think that person emerged as the presidential candidate. So I think in spite of the money, the whole thing revolves also around a particular interest. Forget about even the PDP. Take the issue of APC and their convention in Lagos. General Buhari didn't outspend Atiku Abubakar, because from what we read, Atiku Abubakar gave each delegate $5,000. However, he still didn't win the primary. So it was not about who outspent the other. Even after he spent all that amount of money, still Konkoso was able to defeat him with about 20 votes in that election. And Konkoso didn't spend as much money as Atiku Abubakar did in the Lagos Convention. So it's not really about outspending each other. It is more or less about the interest groups within the nation coming together to say, okay, this is whom we think will move the nation forward.
Okay, Umar Sani, I mean, I talked earlier before you joined us about the Court of Appeal decision, the matter before it brought by
Yes.
Chairman Uche Secondus. And you also reiterated how that could change
Yes.
the game. But if you look at it, isn't this a kind of poetic justice? Adam Soshomole, as chairman of the APC, went to the same appeal court. He didn't get the relief that he wanted. He was removed after previously he had been wrong-footed, in his own word, in Edo State. What gives you the confidence that it will be different this time with regard to the chairman of the People's Democratic Party? And then secondly, you quoted, the party constitution about diversity, equity, and all of that. Yes. What was the innovation by the PDP ahead of the 1999 general elections? But that in itself, on the larger scale, is a bone of contention in Nigeria as we move towards 2023. Northern governors and the traditional establishment in the north are saying, well, that's PDP matter. It's not in the constitution. So the presidency of Nigeria can go anywhere. Yet the PDP initiated it. Now, with that kind of conversation within the bigger stage of Nigeria, what's your own preference in terms of where the presidency should go beyond your commitment as a key member of the People's Democratic Party?
Okay, let me start by saying that I am very confident that the Court of Appeal will set aside the judgment of the Degema Court, because the Court of Appeal cannot go beyond two issues. It cannot go beyond facts and the law. And the facts speak for themselves. Perhaps Adams Oshomole's party did not include in their constitution that certain organs of the party have no right to decide on the fate of members of the NEC, National Executive Council of the party. In the PDP, Chapter 10, Section 5 is very, very explicit. It removes the power of the ward, the local government, and the state from taking any disciplinary action against any member of NEC. And so any decision taken as in respect of discipline of any member of NEC, to that it is null and void, even from, in fact, it is dead on arrival. So that decision that was taken by the ward executive committee is null and void by our constitution. Only the NEC has the right, and there was no time that the NEC, sat and said Uche Secondus has been found guilty of any infraction, and so he has they have taken any decision against him. The only thing that has removed him now is because, as a law-abiding person, he has decided to obey the court order, and of course to seek legal redress in the proper manner, so that he will come back as the national chairman of the party and move the party forward. Now, having said that, the national conversation as to where the presidency should come from, I have had different interviews and people have asked me where the presidency should come from. I know that by our constitution and by our extant laws, it is very explicit. Know that every section of the country is entitled to become president. That is equal opportunities for all. Somebody should wake up and rise to the highest position in the land. That is very clear. So anybody, anywhere you are entitled to become president of Nigeria, whether you are from the highest tribe or the lowest tribe. The issue of people rotating these positions for, on tribal basis, because the major tribes, where Hausa man will be president, or Yoruba man will be president, or Igbo man wants to be president, should not even be the case. It should be that even the lowest Igala man, at least we have begun to see that an Ijaw person, the tribe, which is a very small tribe, has now become president of Nigeria. So as time goes on, even the smallest tribes can aspire and become president of Nigeria because he is competent to do so and to deliver what Nigerians really want. We want a pragmatic leader. We want a leader that will, turn things around, who will turn the economy around, who will turn corruption. He will turn corruption away, and now, of course, he will build on the security situation of the country and ensure that the country is fully secured. Which is the essence of governance, security of life and property. I think these are the issues.
Yes, those are certainly the issues. I hope you can hear us because it's pouring with rain at the moment. Now, beyond the issue of Prince Uche Secondus and whether or not he does triumph in his court battle, let's talk about the issue of PDP leadership at a time like this, when it's extremely important to your party to rally together and act in unison. Is that possible in the PDP? With when you look at all the wranglings that are going on, which I personally find enormously entertaining, I have to say. You also look at the gale of defections from the PDP. You've lost governors, 2 from the south, 1 from the north. You've lost lawmakers at national and state level. What exactly is happening with the PDP, and can you hold it together to give the APC a run for their money come 2023?
You see, the issue of gale of defections is a natural phenomenon. Most times, those people who defect, they no longer command any electoral value, and so they are afraid that once they go back to the grassroots will no longer vote for them, and so they want to move to a place where they can get a platform easily, because within the party they are no longer wanted. And so they normally move away from the party. However, I cannot say that of the governors. The governors, everybody has his own thinking. For instance, there are states in like I always say in the south, especially in the south and southeast, Ebonyi and Cross River. Anybody who is the governor there cannot influence the decision of the electorates, because the electorates do not vote because of the governor. They vote because of a certain political interest, which of course is predicated on the PDP. So like Cross River is PDP and PDP is Cross River. Similarly, Ebonyi is PDP and PDP is Ebonyi. Whoever says he wants to go against PDP in those states is swimming against the tide, and I think he will just, waste a lot of energy. But at the end of the day, he will not succeed. I want to give you, an example which I have always given. In Ebonyi State, the former governor, Martins Elechi, left the PDP, went to Labour Party, and picked somebody to contest for election. He was the governor, but he didn't make any impact. He didn't want Umahi, and Umahi emerged, and Umahi became the governor. So he's leaving the party and moving to another party, and even supporting another candidate in that party didn't change the equation. Cross River is a PDP state. There are a lot of people who have influence, but they cannot change anything. Take an example of Godswill Akpabio. Godswill Akpabio is very popular in Akwa Ibom State. He's very well loved. But when he crossed over to the APC, he could not even win the Senate. So that is to tell you that those people are religiously inclined to PDP, and so their movement is not very damaging to the PDP. However, when you come to Zamfara State, where the governor has studied the situation, Zamfara has always been an APP, ANPP, APC state. The only time the state was a PDP state was when Mahmoud Shinkafi, was there. He now contested. He did it under APC and won, and then defected to PDP. And even when PDP was in power, he contested and lost to the APC. So that is to tell you that that state is an APP or APC state. So, the governor here, our governor, the former governor of PDP, and now a governor of APC, Matawale, has studied the terrain and the situation. And he knows if he stays in the PDP, he may not likely win the election. So he decided to cross over so that he wants to do his second tenure, and he wants to be able to succeed in those in his ambition. I think that these are the issues that have really formed the opinion and shaped the opinion of this gale of defections. However, if you take a holistic look at the whole situation, you will discover that Nigerian politics is even very dynamic. Now we are also having some group of people who are now saying that they are Rescue Nigeria. Now, if this Rescue Nigeria, Donald Duke, who was a former governor in Cross River, has gone to the SDP and now has joined Rescue Nigeria. And he has come back to PDP and now joined Rescue Nigeria. So Nigerian politicians are dynamic, they change. Like I always say, there will be a period for alignments and realignments. And when the whole table is set, then we will now see where the country is headed to. As it is now, the issues that are bedeviling the party is a minor thing.
Okay. Umar Sani, you've raised quite a number of interesting issues that I guess many viewers, many stakeholders would like to interrogate. I asked you the question about the Shomole case at the appeal court, because the Court of Appeal heard in that particular case that membership originates from the ward. So if a particular person, chairman of any other party, has issues at the ward level, then can he rely on the National Executive Committee of the party? And you talked about Ayade, Devumahi, and Matawale, where Matawale you made an exception for. Are you saying that Ayade and Umahi have no electoral value, despite the fact that they are sitting presidents? We didn't get to the point about Governor Nyesom Wike, who was an issue in our last conversation with you, but maybe you deliberately did not want to talk about him. But thank you very much for joining us. The questions are unending, but we'll keep a watching brief on what happens in the People's Democratic Party as the party meets on October 7th to consider the report of the Ungwanyi Committee. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.